Is up today. Glorious day today. It's a good day to be alive. You know why?
Because the kids went back to school.
Because the kids went back to school. Mostly that's the biggest reason. Other reason could just be because your heart was beating this morning, man. That's a good reason to be alive.
I woke up alive. That was good.
It's usually a good thing to wake up alive.
Yeah.
So today we want to just talk a little bit on one thing that is one of the most highly searched things on the internet today. One thing that you or somebody that you know struggles with.
Yep.
One thing that somebody in your family definitely has. I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but how many people actually have diabetes, but it affects a lot of people.
You're saying in the next 5 to 10 years, 50% of the population will have diabetes.
That's amazing. If
That's
50%
just
of the people have diabetes and it's getting worse, it's because maybe it has something to do with our environment. Oh, no, it can't be our environment, Doc. Our genetics are progressively getting worse.
That's what it is. It's genetics. It has nothing to do with what you're eating.
No.
It has nothing to do with the fact that you don't exercise.
It's all about excuses. Now listen, we are very sympathetic and understand that if you have this disease, that you are suffering. But we also know that this disease can be reversed. That you do not have to struggle with this anymore if you make a decision right now that you're ready to be done. It can be you. Because why can it be everyone else but you? It's because they made decisions and you didn't. Because you thought that it was just in your head. You thought that it was just in your genes and that there's nothing that they can do because you're, I'll be nice. Your doctor, who is maybe not I don't know, your idiot doctor told you that you're going to be on this drug and have this disease the rest of your life.
Yep.
I can't be nice about that, guys. It just is what it is. And so if you believe it to be true and you listen to those people, that white coat syndrome, and you listen to what they tell you, I promise you that that is what you will have. But we're going to give you top 3 things today. Now, there's more than 3 things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But these are some of the big things that if you can make changes right now, you can begin that path. And if you need help, you got to reach out to us. You have to reach out to us, Mill Pond Wellness Center, and schedule a phone call. This is what Dr. Don, this is like kind of his thing.
That's what I do.
He likes some diabetes, right? And so let's just jump into it. Diabetes, first of all, what is diabetes? Although everybody watching this about diabetes understands it because they have diabetes. But just what is
Well,
diabetes?
specifically type 2 is what we're speaking about here. Type 1 diabetes is an inability to secrete insulin. So it's an autoimmune disorder. Typically, you get it very early on in life. What we're seeing more and more nowadays is adults are getting type 1 diabetes because their immune system is so aggressive towards their body's tissues. It attacks the insulin cells, the beta cells, and the pancreas, and then it can't secrete insulin anymore. Type 2 diabetes, a lot of type 2 diabetics are being told the reason why they have diabetes is because their pancreas isn't functioning well, and that's just not true. Unfortunately, your doctors aren't running the types of tests to see whether or not the pancreas is functioning properly. So they're assuming, or they're just telling you that, it's just your pancreas and there's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do, the best thing that you can do is continue to take the drugs to slow down the inevitable progression of this chronic degenerative disease. That's what your doctors are telling you. And they tell you it's not reversible because they're talking from their experience. And so what do they experience in their office? You get worse with time. That's a standard of care with diabetics. Think about it. For those of you that are diabetic, those of you that have family members that are diabetic, when you were first diagnosed to today, are you better or worse? Well, my sugars are under control. I know, but now you're on 3 medications instead of 1.
But my sugars are under control.
But my sugars are under control. And understand, folks, that just because the number that's on your glucose meter is in a controlled range, you still have the disease process going on. See, these medications, let's go back to what type 2 diabetes, I get on a rant here, but so type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance. Your body's producing the insulin. Insulin is the hormone that takes your sugar from your blood, puts it into your cells where your mitochondria can use that for energy, right? So we have to figure out why you have the insulin resistance. And in order to reverse the disease, you have to fix the insulin resistance. And see, that's the thing, guys, is the drugs, they're designed to just drive blood sugar out of your blood and into different parts of your body. So depending on what medication you're taking, it could be driving it into your liver, it could be driving it into your kidneys, it could be driving it into your urine. That's all the medications do, is drive the sugar into different parts of your body, right? A lot of them are just converting that sugar into fat. That's why your triglycerides are going up so much. So with that approach, it's impossible to reverse the disease. So your doctors are telling you it's irreversible because with their approach, it's irreversible. I mean, it's a dog chasing his tail, and again, because the disease is not being addressed, you get worse with time and you need more medication.
Yeah, and if you're watching this and you're struggling with diabetes, we're kind of preaching to you because you understand, like, you've been on this cycle for, maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 15, maybe it's 30 years of taking metformin, of taking glyburide, of taking, Jamumet, and you've gone through all these different ones that, mine is 2 in 1. Okay,
Yeah.
And that's going to be taken off the market here soon, just so you know. And then they'll change a couple of molecules and put it back to something else. It's just drugs are not your answer. And so you're searching and you're running around like a dog chasing his tail. You're never going to catch it. You're never going to get those results, and you're sick of it. Like, you're just tired of it. Especially if you're injecting insulin. Like, guys, I've never had to inject insulin or inject things into my body, but I could not imagine doing insulin injections every day and having to poke my fingers and check my blood sugars and stuff on a regular basis. Like, that is just awful. And that is something that you should not have to be doing. And it's something that you don't have to if you change. But if you keep doing what you're doing and hoping to get a different result, that is the definition of insanity. That is healthcare today. Again, it's time to change. So let's talk about 3 things, 3 simple things that we can start doing to start getting results. What's number 1?
So I think with any diabetic, I think you need to start with diet. You definitely need to start with diet. Now, unfortunately, a lot of you are so far down the road, you have so much dysfunction within your system. You start to improve your diet, you're going to see some results, but then you're going to plateau. And see, that's the frustration a lot of diabetics experience, and then unfortunately what they do, they go back to their old ways.
Because I've done keto, and it stopped working. I've done Atkins, and I've done these things, and it stopped working. Well, listen, that's what he's saying. So.
Yep. So absolutely, if your body cannot process sugar, guess what you need to stop putting in your body? Sugar. You got to start there. And guys, this can be a short-term thing for you. You can get to the point within 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, depending on how sick you are. You can get to a point where your body can handle a little bit of sugar here and there, right? But right now, you have so much sugar in your cells, so much sugar in your blood. You have sugar everywhere. And so the more sugar, it's like your bucket is overfilling with sugar. And so what sense does it make to just keep putting sugar in there? Guys, a complex carbohydrate, your breads, your pastas, is long chains of sugar. And so you're eating your oatmeal in the morning, sugar. You're eating banana with it, more sugar, right? I mean, so you've got to go through a period of time, because the only way to truly fix the insulin resistance is by reducing your insulin load on your body. See, all the sugar you're putting in your body, what happens over time, insulin levels go up and up and up and up, and then finally your cells are like, man, there's too much damn insulin. I'm just going to stop utilizing it, and it just becomes less sensitive to it. And so that's why my biggest pet peeve with the treatment of type 2 diabetes is insulin therapy. Now, listen guys, I know why your doctors do it. Your doctors get to the point to where they're looking in their tool bag, there's no more drug samples, there's no more drug therapies, there's no more medications they can do. You have gotten to the point to where you've exhausted all of your options. And because the insulin resistance is so bad, the only thing they can do is give you more insulin. But think about it, guys. The problem is insulin resistance. Not that you don't have enough insulin, it's your body's not utilizing the insulin. So what sense does it make to just drive more insulin into your body? It doesn't even sound smart. And for those of you that have gone through this process, they don't tell you a few things when you're putting on insulin. First and foremost, they don't tell you it promotes the disease process. Well, Doc, what do you mean it promotes the disease process? Well, guys, you have seen it happen. If you're taking insulin, this is how the process goes. You start insulin. And initially when you start it, you're like, God, why didn't Doc start this a while ago? Like, sugars come down, you probably feel a little bit better, energy probably goes up. But again, 3 months later, 6 months later, you change nothing, sugars start to go back up. So you go back into your doc, they rerun your blood work, sugars are higher, so now what do they do with your insulin? What do they do, Doc?
Well, we gotta get more.
They give you more insulin. So what did you just see happen to your body? You became more insulin resistant. So it literally drives the disease process. And so once you go on insulin, and I'm not saying this to scare you, but it's just the reality. Once you go on insulin, that's really where we start to see your health decline very, very rapidly. Because now, a disease process that's already very detrimental to your physiology, it's being sped up by the medications that you're taking. So in order to fix disease, you've got to fix what caused the disease. Well, the disease itself is not high blood sugar, it's insulin resistance. There's no drug that can fix that. So you have to start with diet. So again, guys, you've got to eliminate sugar from your diet for a period of time. The goal here is to get your cells to be sensitive to insulin again. So what do you have to do? We got to reduce the insulin. You've got to give those cells a break so that they can become sensitive again. So you've got to stop the sugar. You've got to stop the complex carbohydrates. That is like something you can do right now, and it's not hard. Now, sugar's addictive, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say that statement's close and hard to say because it's easy to do.
Right.
It is very hard to give up because you're so addicted to it, and that's the problem. And instead of talking in the beginning, I talked about making decisions. Like you have to decide that you want to get better, and if you decide, if your want is bigger, like you're gonna make it happen. But if it's just like I'd like to get better and I'll try it, but you're not gonna succeed, and you're never gonna get better because you're always gonna go back to it. You're always gonna end up cheating and falling back into that cycle. So you gotta be very careful. Sugar is in everything. Sugar is in everywhere, and you will get sick because your blood sugars are gonna get really low. Because you're taking insulin and you're taking metformin or you're taking whatever drugs that you're taking to do what? Lower your blood sugar. Well, now you're not eating sugar, and so what is your blood sugar doing anyways? It's getting lower. So now when you're naturally lowering it and you're taking a drug to lower it, or multiple drugs, you get sick, you get tired, you get fatigued, you get dizzy, you get all these symptoms and side effects, and you're like, what's going on? This is not working. I should just eat McDonald's again. Like, how is that mindset? But that mindset and that thinking is what got you into this place.
Yep.
And so we got to change your mindset, and that's very important. One thing to talk about with insulin is so we got to talk about insulin resistance. We talk about like type 2 diabetes. Well, type 2 diabetes, and you're burning out your insulin stores. Well, now all of a sudden they found out that the brain produces insulin too, and they're calling this type 3 diabetes. And so if you're diabetic, you're even at more risk of having type 3 diabetes. And some people are like, what the heck is that? Type 3 diabetes is Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's, and those types of diseases, because if the brain produces insulin, but now it's burnt out because our body is literally on fire all day, every day because of what we eat, the lack of liquids that we drink and water that we drink, or the liquids that we drink are just not the right kind of liquids that we're drinking, and then all of a sudden we start to atrophy our brain.
Yep.
Well, if your brain atrophies, that's when you start to get those kind of cognitive declines. And you gotta be very careful with that. If you're type 2 diabetic, you're starting to notice some of those things, and guess what it's time for? It's time for some freaking change. And it's not time to go ask your doctor for which Alzheimer's drug you should be on. That is not the answer. What you gotta do is figure out how to put the fire out inside your body. Yes, a medication can put a fire out inside of your body very quickly, and that's what they're good at, but long term, it's not sustainable. So you got to be very careful with that. You're just using this fire putter outer, that thing, fire putter outer, to put this fire out, but the fire is just, you never figure out where the fire is coming from. So the fire just keeps coming back and coming back, so you always got to stop it, and if you stop taking the drug, then you get really sick, so you say, obviously I have to be on this for the rest of my life. It only leads to negative side effects, direct negative side effects. It never leads to good benefits when you're on those drugs, so be very careful. No sugars. Again, that's no grains. That's no oatmeals. That is fruit. Fruit is God's sugar, and I will agree with that. But here's the problem with fruit is it's sugar, and your body just doesn't know the difference right now. Now, 10 o'clock comes around, you're out and about, your blood sugar is low, and you're feeling it. What do you reach for? What is it? I want somebody to put in the comments right now. What do you reach for when your blood sugar is low? Because there's commercials about this.
Because what brings it up really quickly?
A Snickers does. You know, a sugar, some candies. You're going to go get that sugar to jump it up. Okay, well listen, how about you do that banana? How about you do that strawberry? How about you do those berries? How about you do some sort of fruit that's going to do the same thing, where you're like, yeah, but it's not going to hit my satisfaction the way I want. Well, it's not about that. It's about, do you want to live? Do you want to be healthy or not? Do you want to see your grandkids? Do you want to do or not? It's up to you, but you got to make better choices, okay? So diet is super important. And again, if you need help with diet, reach out. We can help you with that. You know, Jamie says she does orange juice for when that happens. That's fine. You know, I want to make sure it's not full of a bunch of sugar, like regular orange juice. Awesome. Kim says, what about type 1, being type 1? We talked a little bit about that in the beginning. You know, type 1 is, you know, sometimes it is something you're born with, something it's an autoimmune condition. We might do a whole thing on type 1 diabetes to talk about that. But what's number 2? Or go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just going to say, like, type 1, there's plenty you can do to support the process. Now, you know, you may need to be on insulin for the rest of your life, but the insulin sensitivity be able to, you know, to sustain that through your whole life is what's so important.
Yeah.
The other thing is 40% of type 1 diabetics taking insulin, you develop antibodies towards that insulin. So every time you inject yourself with insulin, your immune system flares up and attacks that insulin. So there's herbs you can take, there's things you can do to keep that immune system modulated so that it's not attacking the insulin that you have to take every day. So with type 1s, there's things that we can do to help and support you. When we talk about reversing the disease process, we're mainly talking about type 2. So.
Yes. Okay, number 2.
Number 2, so we talked about this a little bit, but you know, at the end of the day, we got to test you properly.
No,
so,
I've had my testing done.
So you're
I had my A1C.
Yep.
I had my sugars checked.
Yep.
It's all in normal limits.
Yep. So see, a couple things with that. Number 1, the testing is incomplete. Number 2, the ranges are ridiculous. So Doc was just talking about brain atrophy. So hemoglobin A1C is a 90-day average of what your blood sugars have done. Until you're at 6.4, the doc says, oh, you're okay, or you're pre-diabetic, or they don't even bring it up until you hit 6.4. And then you're diabetic, and then you're on medication. But at 6.3, you're okay, because you're just pre-diabetic. 5.8 is when the CDC says you're a pre-diabetic. The research is very, very clear, guys. It says at 5.3, that's when we start to see shrinkage of the brain, atrophy of the brain. So if you're a pre-diabetic for 20 years, is it causing you damage? Yeah, a lot of damage. But because their ranges are so widespread, you think you're doing fine. So our functional ranges, the ranges we look at when it comes to lab work, is much more strict, if you will. Because we're worried about function, we're not waiting till you get disease, right? And I hope that makes sense. And so not only is it incomplete testing, but we need to look, like we'll look at people's blood work they bring in and be like, well, you're not functioning 100% here, you're not functioning 100% here, those are issues. But my doc says they're normal. Yeah, you're not have full-blown disease yet. Like they'll wait until you have cirrhosis or fatty liver, but we can see based off your liver enzymes that your liver's not functioning 100%. So do you want to wait till it's diseased, or do you want to get it back to 100%? Like it's a dumb question, right? But on top of that, it's the proper testing, guys. So you need to get tested properly. First thing, we just talked about diet. You need to get your food allergies checked. Okay? You could be allergic to broccoli, cauliflower, spinach. Doc was the first time he got tested. A lot of vegetables. So if you're eating vegetables because they're good for you, you're going to have an immune response if you're allergic to them. Inflammation is going to be produced. At the end of the day, I ate a salad today and I got a sugar spike. Well, and so then it's like, well, hell with it. I'll just eat bread and pasta then if it's going to give me a sugar spike. So guys, stop guessing and get your body tested. Find out what foods are reacting with your physiology correctly, right? The blood work that we do, guys, it tells us more about why you have diabetes. A lot of docs, well, your pancreas is an issue. What, are you running C-peptide? Are you running insulin levels? No. So they're just assuming. Assumption is the mother of all. I can't say bad words. But you can't assume. Okay? You've got to test to see why you got the disease process. Why is the insulin resistance there in the first place? See, a lot of these drugs, guys, you get stuck in a vicious cycle. Just like Doc said, you eat a Snickers bar. What happens? Your sugar goes back up. But then what's your body do? Pushes a bunch of insulin in your body to get that sugar back down. Okay? And then your sugar drops back down. And then you need more sugar. So you eat more sugar. And then you get more insulin. See, that vicious cycle is what develops the insulin resistance in the first place. The medications are perpetuating that cycle because the medications are just driving your blood sugars down. So a lot of you diabetics, you're feeding your medication. Well, if I don't eat a certain amount of carbs every day, if I don't eat a certain amount of sugar every day, my sugars are too low. Well, should we eat properly and maybe reduce our medication? I mean, it's just a thought. Or should we just, eat enough junk to keep our sugars at a level because we're on the medication? But unfortunately, that's what the doctors are telling them.
Yep.
Like, eat whatever you want, just take more drugs.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Crazy.
But again, you're stuck in a cycle, and you got to get out of it. You have to break it. Like you just can't be in it and say it's just because mom and dad had it. And that's like bonus tip is like we're talking about tips. Like stop thinking it's genetic. It's not genetic. In fact, like all the research today is showing and proving that it's not genetic, but rather it's epigenetic. And all that simply means is that it's lifestyle related. That you have lifestyled your way. That you live the lifestyle that mom and dad lived. You got the disease process that mom and dad had. And again, if you want something different, it's the simplest thing. You just got to do something different about it. And so one other thing about that is the body has never in the history of human mankind done something wrong. The body will always do the right thing at the right time for you. So diabetes, that physiologically is the right thing for you because your body's literally just screaming at you saying like, hey dummy, it's time to change. It's time to do something. But what you do is the easy thing is you just shut it up by throwing the insulin, throwing the metformin, throwing whatever, and keeping your body going, because drugs work. Drugs are great at what they do. Drugs just cause further problems. So again, it's the right thing for you at the right time. The body doesn't make mistakes. It's giving us warning signs that we need to change, but we choose not to listen to those warning signs. And that's a scary place to be, because now things like, again, type 3 diabetes and cancers and heart disease and those things can develop. So very good. So nutrition, cutting the sugar, getting tested properly, and not just getting your A1C and checking those sugars to make sure that they're within normal range. I don't care if it's within normal range. I care about why it's in or out of range, and that's what we need to look at, right? We need to look at what's triggering it out of range. We need to look at the immune system and what's triggering it out of normal range. And so that's, again, just a very different types of testing. If you want more information on testing, watch some of our videos on testing. We'll do some videos that just talk about just the stool test and why, just the cardiometabolic panel and why, and show some examples of that. So we'll go through that here shortly. But the number 3 thing. Now, what was the number 3 thing that we were going to talk about?
So I'm gonna change it up a little bit.
Okay,
I don't want to give up.
We already kind of talked about.
I want to give up too much information on this video, but I want to say try some natural herbs.
Yeah.
I was just reading. There's a research done. You can find this on PubMed, and they tested berberine, which is the active ingredient in golden seal, next to metformin. And when it came to hemoglobin A1C, when it came to fasting glucose, and even lipid panels, so cholesterol and triglycerides, the berberine was 100% as effective as the metformin. Now we're talking about an herb God put on our planet.
Right.
And guys, the golden seal that we use, and we just had some of our docs go out to the farm that manufactures our herbs, guys. It is crazy how many herbs out there are crap. You're wasting your money and have zero effect on your physiology when you take them. We're very, very picky with our herbs. If it doesn't meet our standards, then we dismiss that batch, and guess where that batch goes? To another company that doesn't care so much, and they put it in their stuff. And so taking our golden seal, a liquid herb, hands down, is going to be way more effective. And something like this, you can test next to metformin. Now you're getting golden seal in a capsule from Walmart. You test that next to metformin, it's going to be junk. It's going to be garbage, right? But there's been studies that show that golden seal just as effective as the most popular prescribed drug in the world, metformin. There's a lot of other things out there you can try, like bitter melon, cinnamon, gymnema. I mean, there's a lot of good herbs. Again, we're not docs that are just going to put you on a bunch of herbs and then keep you on those herbs for the rest of your life in hopes that your sugars stay normal. Now, are we going to use these herbs to get your sugars down immediately, as soon as possible, so we can, reduce the damage? Of course. But in the meantime, we're testing, we're changing diet, we're finding out exactly what food you should be eating. We're finding out, do you need liver support? Do you need thyroid support? Do you need adrenal support? Do you need pancreatic support? All right. So we're getting down to the triggers, but listen, there's herbs out there that are just as potent as the drugs that you're taking.
Wow.
Crazy stuff.
I bet you pharmaceutical companies don't want to hear that.
Probably not.
I bet you your medical doctors know that and won't tell you that.
I say it's better to pay the farmer than it is the pharmacy.
So you gotta make better decisions, and just we got a bunch of videos on our YouTube and Facebook pages that we just explain and just give you like advice on like how to take care of these diseases. And it might be diabetes today and it might be heart disease tomorrow, but it all stems like something was triggered inside of your body to start your physiology, to start getting out of normalcy, out of the normal physiological response, and that's when disease happens. That's when inflammation happens, and inflammation is roots of diabetes and heart diseases and cancers and type 3 diabetes and all that stuff. So if you're ready for change and you're looking for help, reach out to us, post in the comments. Yes, I want some help. I'd like to know more about getting tested. I'd like to know more about nutrition, what you guys can do to help me. We don't just take care of people locally. We are able to take care of people all over the country. And it's been awesome to see the results that we're able to get with people. So if that's you, reach out to us. We look forward to talking to you soon. And other than that, make sure you stay tuned, and we'll keep bringing some more awesome content for you.